Today I want to talk about the 2022 recruiting rankings, and Oklahoma is in a surprise spot. All that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, because we got to take a look at these 2022 rankings. And the reason I wanted to do this is, one, I put the poll up on the community tab, see what y'all want to talk about, and some of y'all wanted to get a primer on the 2022 class. And seeing as we've already had some reshuffling, top 247 coming out, rivals coming out, the composite took a little bit of a shift. I wanted to get at some of these dudes, in particular, OU, because Luther Burden got a 5th star according to some. And check it. I'm going to go ahead and do us all a favor and pull these things up in front of me because you know how, well, I want to be the dude that is going to reference the interwebs because I'll say a thing and then I've got to go check the math. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. I would prefer to be right the first time. So Oklahoma is in a surprise spot for me here at number 5 with 6 commits. And the reason that's a surprise spot for me is because Oklahoma does not have a 2022 quarterback committed. I don't expect them to get a 5-star of any kind at that position, right? Whether it be rivals, ESPN, or 247, or even, dare I say it, the composite. But with Luther Burden getting his 5th star, Oklahoma now has 2 5-stars among its 6 commits. Now, it's a wide receiver, it's a tailback, Raleek Brown, who can do almost anything. Taylor Shetron got in last year, high-value 4-star, top 60 recruit. Kobe McKenzie has been in this class for like 2 solid years, so much so that the thought had crossed his mind to try to reclassify for the 2021 class, but COVID-19 hit, and that took a dip. And then Jordan Hudson, another wide receiver, he's 4-star, top 120 recruit. And then Jason Llewellyn, who was unranked according to 247 and has since been launched into just outside the top 500. I expect him to keep rising. His tape is excellent. One of those kiddos that just fell under the radar. And, I don't blame recruiting analysts for missing him. One, it's COVID-19, it's pandemic. It's difficult to keep track of who was doing what and when. And 2, it's regular. Travion Henderson was an undervalued prospect ahead of his senior year. And that changed about this time, like it did last year. So I always thought that this is a good time to take a look at the ranking of what they're doing. So that's Oklahoma, right? But Penn State being there at number 4 also surprised there, but they got 7 commits in the boat. None of them are 5-stars. I expect Penn State and Oklahoma to take dips here, but for the time being, you got to feel good about where you are if you are Penn State. You got your dual threat quarterback committed. He's a top 400 recruit, and I think he's going to keep, you might take more than one with Micah choosing to transfer to Oklahoma. And you continue to go down that list, but the problem that I saw with Penn State is they had just not closed on guys in state. And that way they're looking a lot like Rutgers. Pennsylvania puts out a lot of outstanding talent, not unlike New Jersey. And I've thought with every school, especially if you're the flagship institution in that state, like Texas, like Penn State, like Rutgers, like Oklahoma, your first priority always needs to be locking up your in-state talent, because I believe the backbone of your football team is a bunch of kids that grew up not just watching those teams, but have parents that went to school there, cousins, friends that went to school there, have lots of friends and family who are fans of those teams. And even if they're not, they're steeped in the rivalries because those are the games that come on in their local network, right? You get your big noon kickoff game, but then more often than not, you got your regional games, right? Keep that in mind. Georgia's at number 3. I think they're going to stick. One, they got a 5-star quarterback in Gunnar Stockton, and they got him early thanks to Will Muschamp being out of a job. They beat Auburn out for the race, and they're going to continue to build. Some of the dudes they got committed in this class are just ridiculous. Dayon Bowie, come on, man. That's an athlete at 5'11", 185, 5-star, number 26 in the country. You can do whatever you want with him, and yet they're only going to get better because that is what Kirby Smart has done best. He's one of those rare head coaches who's also your best recruiter. And no coincidence, they put together some of the best classes. Now, look, I understand how you must feel about LSU being at number 2 because they had 5 losses. More than that, they were 5-5 and managed to finish number 3 in the 2021 rankings. And now they're sitting at 2 with 10 commits already in the boat. Because all Ed Orgeron lives to do is recruit. He lost both of his coordinators. He struck out. Well, not struck out. He went 0 for 2 and then finally hit on his third option for defense coordinator Durante Jones. But that hasn't stopped him from having guys like Walker Howard in the boat for some time now. Walker Howard is also another 5-star quarterback, and I think that is the building block of a top 5 recruiting class. And the further you go down through their recruiting, the saltier it gets. And then you take a look at some of the guys in the state of Louisiana that they are leading in, and you could easily see how they can finish right where they are. And that's why I think LSU is going to be back this year. Their schedule is set up nicely for them to win 10 games and then to compete for a national championship, or at least the SEC West, which, probably could pick the national championship contender from in any given year in 2022. And then number 1, Ohio State. My God, 3 5-stars among your 10 committed recruits, and the number 1 player in the country in Quinn Ewers, and just the 6th ever 1.0000000 recruit in rankings history, joining guys like Vince Young, Robert Kimdichie, Ernie Sims. Like, it's pretty nasty. Javion Clowney, and he's a quarterback, right? So you're expecting the world from him. Jaheim Singletary's been in for a while. Caleb Burton is a top 10 recruit, according to some. I know that he's 23 in the national 247 composite, but one of the best wide receivers in this class. Gabe Powers got in there last year. CJ Hicks is my favorite dude in this class because that dude is going to just wreck people as an outside linebacker. He's going to be so good. Deshaun McCullough, there was a little bit of a scare as his dad got the job at Indiana. He said, I'm a Buckeye. So that's good to hear if you are a Buckeye fan. Tegrate Shabola got in there early last year, 6'5", 340. Good grief, child. My God, right? And then you're adding other dudes throughout that are just going to make this class, well, the kind that I think competes with Alabama. And when I say that, I mean Alabama 1 through 85 is just awesome, right? It's also the reason why we dunk on Georgia so much, because according to the talent composite, you're always one of the most talented teams in football. And yet, you can't get to the national championship game except the one time when you should be there every single year, right? Rounding out the top 10, though, Texas at 6, Notre Dame at 7, A&M at 8, Oklahoma State at 9, they won't stick. Rutgers at 10, they won't stick. And then you got USC, Florida State, Boston College, Cincinnati. Like, there's going to be a lot of shuffling. It's very early, but again, I wanted to do this because it's very early. All right, if you are watching this, know that I am on Clubhouse right now talking about Black college football history and probably going to talk a little bit about, college football in general. I'm going to start doing some stuff on Clubhouse from now, because it doesn't cost me anything to be over there because I can do 2 things at once. It ought to be fun. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.